Hey guys, what's up? It's Conversion CP here, and today I wanted to show off a cool challenge run I did in Pokemon. This is my attempt at completing Pokemon Heartgold without taking any damage. In this run, I set up a few rules before starting to make the challenge reasonable. As the name implies, the main goal of this challenge is to complete the game without getting hit or taking damage. I emphasize the damage part so that I cannot take residual damage from status conditions or weather. A few extra rules I made. First, I set level caps at each gym to prevent myself from grinding to an absurd level and sweeping most of the game. Second, I also decided to not allow myself to use X items in battle. Although they would be very hard to use in the first place, they can make some battles absurdly easy. Third, I want to try and prevent myself from using any of the emulator settings such as the turbo button or save states. There are 2 points later in the run where I use save states, but this is just to save absurd amount of time, as without it I would have been resetting for hours or possibly days. As the game starts, we open up on a scene with Professor Oak telling us how to play the game, and then he politely asks us our pronouns so that we don't get too offended. We choose her/she as our pronouns of choice and tell him our name is Gamer. Like most Pokemon games, we start in our room, where we head downstairs to greet our mother before leaving forever like the true strong individual we are. Once we head outside, it's right off to Professor Elm's house to take his weapon of mass destruction. These creatures he hands out to 10-year-olds are easily capable of taking out an entire city. We choose the weapon that shoots fire because fertilizer and bubbles seem pretty weak. And then, despite having a fully capable lab aide, Professor Elm decides to use child labor to get his research done, sending us off to go collect a package for him. Before this playthrough began, the only Pokemon I even had in mind for our starter was Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil has great speed and great special attack. Speed is the most important stat in this challenge because if we are not outspeeding our opponent, we are getting hit. After spending 2 minutes trying to decide on a name, I settle on Nani as I realize that his opponents will soon be saying the same.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
Upon checking Nani's summary, we see that he has a good nature, which increases his speed and decreases his special defense. Before leaving on our first job as an unpaid intern, we meet our childhood friend Ethan, who couldn't be more desperate if he tried. We politely tell him that we already have a boyfriend and continue on our journey. Before leaving, we do go back and say our final goodbyes to our mom and thank her for always paying our phone bill. Now, onto our journey. Before starting this challenge, I had honestly not given much thought into what I was undertaking, but after encountering my first Pokemon, I realized just how hard this could be. My first encounter is a Sentret, and I think, oh, this will be easy, we can easily defeat this in 2 hits I bet. Oh boy, was I wrong. I quickly learned that although the Pokemon Battle AI may not be fantastic, it isn't stupid. After using Foresight, the Sentret hits me with Scratch, which forces me to reset. I reset to my last save state right before entering the grass and try again. This time, I know better. At this point, I also decide to put a reset counter up on the screen, and don't worry, we are going to be getting a lot of use out of that. But for now, we have 4 resets on the board because it took me 4 attempts to learn that I can't one-shot a Pidgey. And we make our way into Cherry Grove Town. In Cherry Grove, we meet a nice old man who decides to help us out and give us a pair of new shoes, along with a map so we don't get lost. We promptly leave Cherry Grove Town to continue on our way to Mr. Pokemon's house when we reach Route 30. The route is actually one of the most important in the game, and without it, the challenge would be nearly impossible. This route in Heartgold has a 10 to 15% chance, depending on the time of day, to have Metapod spawn. These Metapod only spawn at level 4 and thus only know the move Harden. Without a damaging move, these Metapod are the perfect way for us to grind for early levels and gain enough experience to start fighting for ourselves. We defeat our first of many Metapod through sheer wit and brain power, the likes of which Johto has never seen. Well, essentially all we do is spam tackle and hope for a crit, but the sheer brain power required must not be understated, okay? With our current attack, it takes almost 3 minutes to kill one Metapod, but we have no other options, so we must persevere. We run away from any Pokemon that is not a Metapod and heal to get our power points back when needed. At this point, I should probably mention that I am playing on my favorite console, the Windows DS. Although very good in its own right, the Windows DS port of Pokemon Heartgold is a little finicky to say the least. Even just looking at the screen, there are dead pixels that shift randomly here and there, and the platform is no stranger to random crashes and graphical bugs. Like the absolute idiot I am, I decide to create a save state during one of these crashes and end up soft locking myself, with the only escape being to go back to my last actual in-game save. I reload the game to find my last save was just after walking down the stairs at the beginning of the game. With an hour of gameplay lost, my only option is to start over. Okay, let's do this one more time. My name is ConversionCP. I was bitten by a radioactive spider, and for like 2 days I've been the one and only Spider-Man. Wait a second, sorry, that's the wrong script. Anyway, blah blah blah, strong individual woman, weapon of mass destruction, modest nature Nani this time, which is very good. It raises our special attack stat. Unpaid intern adventure to Mr. Pokemon's house, shoes, map card, adventure continues. We talk to this man who gives us a bag to hold apricorns in. Then we finally find our way to Mr. Pokemon's house and receive an egg from him, which I sure hope Professor Elm will turn into breakfast for us because he owes us big time for this. This old guy offers us a digital encyclopedia, which we accept to appease his old soul, but don't worry, we won't use it at all. This thing stays bone dry for the rest of the challenge. We leave Mr. Pokemon's house and get a call from Professor Elm saying he's going to call the IRS on us unless we get back to his lab immediately. Like the good child we are, we tell him to shove it, and we continue grinding Metapod because we know Professor Elm hasn't been paying his taxes either. We grind Metapod for almost 2 hours so that we reach level 10. At level 10, Nani learns Ember, which helps immensely as it gets the same type attack bonus because it is a fire type move, and it is the first move that uses Nani's special attack stat, which is much higher than his physical attack stat. We get one more level before going to battle this random soulless kid with daddy issues. He just so happens to have a starter Pokemon, which is the one type we are weak against. What a coincidence. Using our massive brain power acquired from battling Metapod for 2 hours, we easily destroy his Pokemon, first lowering its accuracy with Smokescreen, and then using Ember. We beat him in 3 hits without taking damage. As we make our way back to our hometown and give Professor Elm his breakfast, we see that Professor Elm called the cops on us for tax evasion. The cop is about to arrest us, but we quickly tell him about a boy we met who stole from the professor. The cop lets us off with a warning for snitching on the other boy, who is coincidentally a famed criminal named No Game. With a name like that, it's no wonder he has daddy issues. We finally hand Professor Elm's breakfast to him, and he suggests that we should collect 8 shiny medals from political figures and become president of the region. We agree to his wonderful suggestion and make our way to our first badge at Violet City. On the way to Violet City, we don't encounter much trouble, beating up youngster Mikey, who is no match for our slightly overleveled Nani. On the way, Nani learns Quick Attack, which actually ends up being useless, surprisingly. We make it to Violet City where we enter the first gym for our badge, but this guy tells us that we have to go take down the local cult to prove ourselves worthy. This cult of old guys believe in the one true overlord, Bellsprout. We enter the tower and beat up the old dudes left and right until we get enough experience to evolve Nani, thus turning Nani into a Quilava. We reach the top of the tower where we see No Game, and then we defeat the cult leader ourselves. We head back to the gym to take on Falkner. On my initial attempt, I found that I can one-hit KO the Pidgey, but not quite two-hit KO the Pidgeotto, so I decide to go to get to level 17 and then battle Falkner again. It takes me 2 more attempts, but I get this good battle where I one-hit KO the Pidgey and then get a critical hit on the Pidgeotto to take it out in 1 hit. With the Zephyr badge obtained, we are 1 step closer to political domination, and our next gym badge is in Azalea Town. From this point on, I am only going to mention key items we pick up, major plot points, hard battles, or gym battles just to save time. We are heading to Azalea Town where Professor Elm calls us, asking us to hatch the egg we had to fetch for him because it contains an alien life form not yet discovered in this region. We accept his offer, hoping to add to our arsenal of weapons and then leave Violet City. On Route 32, we meet a trainer named Youngster Gordon, who despite our best attempts, we are unable to beat because he has a legendary Pokemon named Wooper. For the time being, we must be careful to skip Gordon, but we will be back later for revenge. We pick up the old route from this fisherman in the Pokemon Center and make it to Azalea Town. In Azalea Town, we meet Team Rocket, who has taken over a small cave and is running an illegal poaching business. Team Rocket has the same goal of political domination, and thus we must wipe them out to prevent them from ruining our own goal. We get a few resets along the way fighting Team Rocket grunts due to Rattata knowing Quick Attack, but eventually we make it to the leader of this operation, Executive Proton. On my first attempt, I Ember his Zubat to one-hit KO it, and then we move on to his ace Pokemon, Coughing. Coughing is well known for its defensive capabilities, and I know this will definitely take me a few tries. Oh, never mind, naughty crit Coughing. With that out of the way, we move on to the gym in Azalea Town, which is bug types. Before the gym battle, we have these two girls who want a double battle. However, since we only have one Pokemon, they cannot challenge us, and I thought that was an interesting fact. We only have to fight one trainer in this gym to move on to the leader Bugsy. Bugsy's only scary Pokemon is Scyther. It's her ace at level 17, and it knows Quick Attack. Because of Quick Attack, even if we are faster, Scyther will always attack before us. However, I have a strategy that Bugsy can never account for. Sheer dumb luck. Scyther goes for Leer turn 1 for some reason instead of Quick Attack, and not even critical hits with Ember to one-shot the Scyther. The other two Pokemon, Metapod and Kakuna, get one-shot as well, making this a clean victory. We obtain the Hive Badge, and we move on to an extremely hard fight. In Azalea Town, we have our second rival battle against No Game. At this point, No Game has caught two new Pokemon and evolved his Totodile, making this fight quite difficult. We can defeat the Ghastly in one hit, but the Croconaw is not even close. Although it is technically possible at this point by lowering his accuracy and hoping for misses, I realize that I need another Pokemon which can take on Croconaw in the future, and decide to go catch a Mareep. I named this new Mareep Lox, as well as I am able to hatch the egg we received. A Togepi comes out of the egg, who I also promptly named Jeffrey. I catch two Magikarp as well, but I decided to put them in the PC as my current team in mind, I would end up having 3 flying types. I switch trained Jeffrey and Lox by fishing for Magikarp, which can attack. I do this for 3 hours until Jeffrey reaches level 7 and Lox learns Thundershock at level 10. I decide to fight some more trainers on the way back to Azalea Town before our rival fight. And, on the way, I decide I'm finally ready to fight Youngster Gordon. I send out Lox, who is super effective against his water-type Wooper. This should be a clean one-hit KO with Thundershock. Wait, what? Wooper's a ground type? I knew Quagsire was, but not Wooper. At this point, I'm screwed. But I switch anyway, just hoping it won't attack, and it decides to go for 2 Tail Whiffs against Nani, which allows me to defeat Youngster Gordon finally. After this battle, we head back to the rival fight in Azalea Town, but I still can't beat No Game with a level 12 Mareep, so I grind till Mareep evolves at level 15 into Fluffy. I take out the Ghastly and send in Lox, who can 3-hit KO the Croconaw with Thundershock. Luckily, even though Croconaw outspeeds us, it goes for Scary Face 3 times in a row, which lets us defeat it. Now, the last Pokemon is Zubat. Although initially it seems easy, this Zubat knows the egg move Quick Attack, which could end any run at random. Luckily, it does not go for Quick Attack this time, and we get a no damage victory against No Game. After helping a young man in the forest, he thanks us by giving us a Charcoal. This item is essential to the rest of the run as Charcoal boosts fire type moves by 20%. This will be our go-to item for Nani. Going through Ilex Forest, we catch a Rattata to use Cut, we meet the Devil in Disguise, and we make our way to Goldenrod City. I play this man's card game for fake coins, which we can exchange for one of the strongest Pokemon in the game, Dratini. After getting Dratini, it's off to the gym battle against Whitney. This is the first point where the level caps I set on each gym become important. For this gym, I set the level cap to 25, which we are quite close to already. In the actual gym battle, I can take care of her Clefairy without too much trouble, but her milk tank is a big problem. It has good defenses, tracked to prevent Nani from attacking, and has a 100% accurate stomp which can easily end the battle. With Ember, I'm not even close to defeating Miltank in one turn. That's whenever we meet the greatest NPC in this challenge, the merchant on level 5 of the shopping mall who sells technical machines. In particular, he's willing to sell 5 of the strongest moves in the game for 5,000 Pokédollars, which is an absolute steal. We take Fire Blast off his hands, and this move is 3 times stronger than Ember, with the downside of having 85% accuracy. With the same type attack bonus referred to as Stab and Charcoal, this gives Fire Blast an effective base power of 204, which is absurdly high. With the newly obtained Fire Blast, we go back to the gym and face off against Whitney. We now one-shot the Clefairy with Fire Blast and do about 95% to Miltank. This is a huge improvement versus the 3-hit KO of Ember, and we get lucky on this run. I hit Miltank with Fire Blast, it goes for a Tract. I get through the Infatuation but miss my second Fire Blast, while Whitney uses a Super Potion. It doesn't heal Miltank to full, and we get through the Infatuation on the 3rd turn to KO Miltank with Fire Blast. With Whitney defeated, we obtain the Plane Badge, and we get the TM for a Tract.
The next town we need to head for is GlitchXCity. However, before we get there, I decided to stop by the Pokeathlon Dome. This building contains minigames we can play with our Pokemon for points which we can spend on items, and it does not require battling. The important items we will want later are the Evolution Stones, which can be bought here. I decided to play one round of minigames before I realized I forgot to get the bicycle and the squirt bottle, which we need to progress. On my way back, I also decided to pick up the Quick Claw from this woman. The Quick Claw is important because it allows my Pokemon to have a 10% chance to move first in the turn, no matter their speed stat. After heading back to Goldenrod, I pick up the bike from this old man and the squirt bottle from the florist. I then head towards the dancing tree, which I use the squirt bottle on, and I run away like a little sissy baby because there's no point in fighting it. A woman awards me for my cowardice with the berry pots. Just before reaching Ecruteak, there are 2 trainers who challenge us to a double battle. This is problematic because it significantly increases our chances of being hit. My strategy here is to take out all of one trainer's Pokemon and then fight 2 versus 1 on the other Pokemon. On my second attempt, I defeat the trainers and make my way to Ecruteak. I save the second Devil in Disguise from Team Rocket and obtain Surf from an old man for helping. Then I go to the Burn Tower where my 3rd rival fight is. This rival fight requires a few resets, but with a bit of luck against Croconaw, Lox is able to beat him, and Nani sweeps the rest of his team. With no game defeated, we prepare for our gym battle against Morty.
This is the 4th gym, and I decided to make the level cap 32. While I was playing, I thought that level 32 was when Quilava evolved, but I was mistaken. However, 32 still seems like a good level cap for this part of the game. This gym specializes in ghost types. For Johto, that means that the only Pokemon available are Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar. These 3 are not a problem except for one move they can learn, Sucker Punch. If you aren't well versed in Pokemon, Sucker Punch is a move that goes before the opponent and attacks, but it can only work if the opponent goes for an attack as well. The AI will randomly choose this move whenever they feel like it, so there is a random chance for any Haunter to ruin our day. No Ghastly or Gengar know this move, so they aren't a problem. I get a few resets on 2 of the trainers in Morty's gym because of Sucker Punch, but I eventually beat them and go to fight Morty. I was fairly confident fighting him at the time, and in hindsight, with good luck, I could have beat him. However, I decided to level up Nani. I head towards Olivine City and fight all the trainers in the lighthouse to reach level 31. Then, I make my way back to Ecruteak and face Morty once again. This time, Nani is much stronger but still does not outspeed Morty's Gengar. I have to reset a few more times, but eventually I get a good fight. The Ghastly goes down in one hit, the Gengar uses Mean Look, and I hit Fire Blast. Then, Haunter comes in with Sucker Punch. I go for another Fire Blast and take out Haunter. The only Pokemon left is Haunter with Sucker Punch. I use one more Fire Blast and it lands, getting us the Fog Badge and access to use Surf. I would like to mention that although I did not leave much of my grinding in this video, this particular grind session was one of the longest I had, taking 2 hours and giving me 15 more resets. Now we head to one of the more interesting parts of the game. After obtaining the 4th gym badge, the game really opens up. We are now able to visit Mahogany Town, Cyanwood City, or Olivine City. We can also challenge these gym leaders in any order. My first order of business is to fight the red Gyarados at the Lake of Rage and get the red scale, which we can trade to Mr. Pokemon for the experience share. I backtrack all the way to his house and trade him for it. This item is very important as it gives half the EXP obtained in battle to the Pokemon holding it. This will drastically speed up training for the weaker Pokemon because we no longer have to switch train. My next goal is to catch our next 2 permanent team members. First, we go back to Goldenrod City and talk to Bill, who gives us an Eevee. We name this Eevee Queso, and next I make my way from Goldenrod back to Olivine to obtain the Good Rod from this fisherman. In Olivine, we use the Good Rod and we have a 3% chance of finding our next team member. I start fishing in the dock. I'm ready to fish for the next hour or so, as I will surely have to do many attempts to find this Pokemon. And then bam, it shows up, a second encounter. We catch our new team member Staryu, who we name Pogo Man. Unfortunately, Pogo Man has one of the worst natures possible, sassy, which will lower its speed. But I keep him because of the really low encounter rate. With our 5 permanent team members set, we head to Cyanwood City, where I hope to have an easy gym battle. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Our next gym is the Fighting type gym. Fighting types are no problem. I actually sweep through the trainers here very easily. However, the problem lies in this man, Chuck. Chuck has only 2 Pokemon. This should be easy, you would think. However, one of them is Polywrath. Out of all the fighting types in this game, he could have had Hitmontop, Machamp, literally anything else. He has a water fighting type. The Primeape he has is never a problem. It goes down to 1 Fire Blast and is super easy. The only problem Pokemon is Poliwrath. And oh, if you were thinking, why not just use Fluffy? I bet Fluffy can defeat it. You would be very, very wrong. Fluffy's Thundershock is a 7 to 8 hit KO. Even Nani does better than that. I guess now would be a good time to mention that the level cap at this part of the game is going to be 40 to 45, depending on which gym battle I'm doing, since I can do the next 3 in any order I want. I start looking at my options and I decide to go and do the Olivine gym next to get some levels before coming back. First, I pick up the secret potion in Cyanwood to cure the Lighthouse Ampharos who I met during my grind session earlier. After helping Ampharos, the gym leader Jasmine agrees to challenge us to a fight. Unfortunately, the trainers in her gym refuse to challenge us because of our good deed. This is actually very bad for us because we really need the levels, but whatever, I'll just fight Jasmine then. I'm going to be completely honest here, this is the easiest gym battle in the entire game so far. It just consists of me hitting Fire Blast 3 times, there's no strategy or plan. I burn the Magnemite to death, she sends in her ace, which is Steelix, it stands no chance, and then her last Pokemon comes in and gets obliterated. Now we have our 5th gym badge, the Mineral Badge, and we also get the TM for Iron Tail. After completing the easiest gym battle in the game, we have to go back and do one of the hardest. Before attempting to beat Chuck, I realize that I'm level 34 and really close to evolving Nani. I get to level 35 and then use a rare candy I got in the lighthouse to get to level 36. After Nani evolves into a Typhlosion, I go back to attempt Chuck again. In the last bit of my video, I purposely did not go into too much detail about Chuck's fight because this is where my attempts start to get serious. First, Chuck sends out a Primeape. Just like before, this is simple. It only takes a Fire Blast or a Lava Plume hit to take it out. Then he sends out Poliwrath. Poliwrath's gimmick is that it wants to hit Hypnosis, put your Pokemon to sleep, and then use Focus Punch to deal tons of damage. The gimmick isn't even really a problem. Hypnosis only has 60% accuracy, so it's pretty unlikely to hit. The problem is that it doesn't only go for this gimmick. It has 2 other moves with 100% accuracy, Body Slam and Surf, that it likes to use, and sometimes it'll just go for Focus Punch anyway without using Hypnosis. Chuck's AI is really a mystery. It can't seem to pick just one move or one strategy to use. I first try using Nani with Charcoal and Fire Blast, but it doesn't quite deal half damage, so I decide to try switching to Locks for a chance to paralyze, and then switching into Nani to lay down the damage. Both of these strategies are okay, but they are still very inconsistent. While filming this run, I was really only concerned with beating the game with little to no regard for how many resets I had to do, but after editing the run, I really wish I had simply leveled up or found a better strategy to decrease my resets. I get about 20 resets just in the second attempt at Chuck when I could have leveled up twice and beaten him quickly, but oh well, I mean, hindsight is 20/20. Anyway, on to the battle. Primeape goes down to our new move Lava Plume, which has 80 power and 100% accuracy. Weaker than Fire Blast, but consistent. Then Polywrath comes in, and I use Fire Blast for the extra power. It deals just under half, and Polywrath goes for Focus Punch, which fails because I broke his concentration. Then I go for another Fire Blast, and Polywrath goes for another Focus Punch. Then Citrus Berry brings Polywrath just outside of the potion range, and I use another Fire Blast. It hits 3 times in a row, defeating Polywrath. Upon reflecting, this battle really was not that hard, and I only made it hard because I was bent on beating Chuck without leveling up anymore. But I did eventually beat him. I obtained the Storm Badge and the TM for Focus Punch, but just wait. If you thought that was difficult, wait till you see the next gym. Our 7th gym battle is in Mahogany Town, but before doing that battle, we have to take down this secret Team Rocket base with Lance's help. Lance commits first-degree murder to locate the base's entrance, and he suggests we follow him before he gets 2 counts of the same. We happily oblige and enter the Team Rocket hideout with him. While making our way through and fighting some of the grunts, our Togepi evolves into a Togetic. But other than that, there's not much going on here until we have to fight the executives. Our first fight is against Executive Petrol. There isn't much to say here, we are quite over-leveled compared to him and we have no problems. After we fight, we follow the Murkrow to the door where the contraption we need to destroy is being held. Here, we are challenged to a double battle by the next executive, Ariana. We team up with Lance, who is our doubles partner, and he introduces a very ethical question about this run. So, Nani knows Lava Plume, and Lava Plume hits all Pokemon on the field, so if I use it, Dragonite will be damaged. However, my Pokemon did not take any damage, so does this go against the rules of my run? Well, I feel like this is up to interpretation, and you can comment your opinion, but I decided to play it safe and just use moves that don't hit Dragonite. Fire Blast and Thunder take out the first 2 Pokemon, and Dragonite goes for Fly. That causes Typhlosion to get hit. Well, this battle might be a little harder than expected. On my second attempt, I go for the same lead, Fire Blast, but this time Dragonite goes for Fly on turn 1. This is good because now I can use Lava Plume without hitting Dragonite. I take out Grimer and Arbok this way, and since both of the Grunts Pokemon are defeated, we can fight Ariana's Pokemon 2 vs 1, which is much easier. I defeat the Murkrow and Gloom without Nani or Dragonite taking damage. Then we dismantle the machine easily, and I leave the Team Rocket base ready for the next gym battle. The gym in Mahogany Town is an Ice-type gym, and if you look at it on paper, this should be very, very easy. Ice types are some of the worst Pokemon in battle. They have bad stats, poor move pools, and there are very few of them, so they get repetitive. To make it even easier, we have an over-leveled Fire type, which is very strong. And yet, this gym is the hardest one in the challenge. There are 2 Pokemon used in this gym which are very annoying, and before starting this gym, I didn't even think twice about these Pokemon. I didn't even know they could be good, but here we are. The 2 Pokemon are Seel and Dugong. Seel is a pure water type, and when it evolves into Dugong, it gains the Ice type. But just them being water types is not the problem, it's the ability they get. Seel and Dugong get the ability Thick Fat. Thick Fat halves the attack or special attack of the Pokemon attacking Seel if the move it uses is an Ice type or Fire type move. This is very bad for Nani, who only uses Fire type moves to attack. Without Thick Fat, Nani would be able to one-shot both Seel and Dugong, but with Thick Fat, I don't even do half their health. Oh yeah, and besides all of the problems with Thick Fat, some of the Pokemon know Ice Shard, which has priority, and will go before other moves no matter the speed. This battle is a great example of how I can one-shot a Shelter, which is a pure water type with Lava Plume, but do a little over half to Seel with Fire Blast, and then I lose to Ice Shard. There is a TM I can buy that would have made this gym much easier, but I don't know about the TM yet. I do use it later in the run, which we'll see. Since I don't know about this TM, I decided to go get the Choice Specs. The Choice Specs are great for this kind of challenge because they double the Pokemon's special attack that is holding them, but the Pokemon can only choose one move. Nani already only uses one move, so I might as well equip them and double my special attack. The Choice Specs help, but I'm still unable to defeat some of the Pokemon in the gym. Some of you might be wondering, if Fire Blast did around 60% before to a Seal, and you double your special attack with Choice Specs, then how is Fire Blast not one-shotting them? I actually had this question myself. And for this question, I must remind you that we had Charcoal on before, which boosts our Fire-type moves by 20%. And putting Choice Specs on doubles our special attack but removes that 20% boost. So now we only do about 90% to Seal. Since I am very close to beating the Pokemon, I decided to go grab 3 rare candies scattered around the region to level up Nani. This brings him to level 41, and now we can one-shot most of the trainer's Pokemon in the gym. After making a few more attempts against the gym trainers, I realized that I am not able to beat them with my current team. So, I decided to go work on evolving some of my Pokemon on my team. To do this, we need to head to the Pokeathlon Dome again. If you remember, I said we would be coming back here, and for a good reason. This place has the items we need to evolve a few of our team members. I play these mini games for almost 3 hours to try and get enough points to evolve our Pokemon. There isn't much else to say, so enjoy this montage. Eventually, I get enough points to grab the Thunderstone, which we use on Queso to get a Jolteon. Our Jolteon is going to replace the Fluffy I had previously because of Jolteon's much higher speed. Then, I go back and get more points to try and evolve Pogoman into Starmie. Eventually, we get enough points to evolve Pogoman with the Water Stone. After evolving it, we also go and get Thunder from our favorite Floor 5 merchant. We get Thunder for Queso and Pogoman, as well as teaching Surf to Pogoman. Now, the only thing left to do is to train Pogoman until it is a high enough level. This is a minor point, but I would really like to shout out this patch of grass in particular. It is located on Route 48 near the Safari Zone, and it has some great Pokemon. Even at the point of the game when you have access to Victory Road, some of the Victory Road Pokemon don't even give as much experience as this route. Plus, The Pokemon on this route give good EVs such as speed and attack. If you don't know what EVs are, you should look it up because this video is already too long, but they are very important. After 2 more hours of fighting wild Pokemon, Pogoman is level 27 and Nani is level 44. We are right up against our level cap. Even though Pogoman is not that high of a level, with choice specs, it really packs a punch and easily defeats this trainer that we had a ton of trouble with. Plus, since it is a water type, the Pokemon don't want to use Ice Shark because it would be not very effective. Finally, after defeating the other trainer, we can face Price. Price has 3 Pokemon, Seal with Thick Fat, Dugong with Thick Fat, and Piloswine with Ice Shard. Pogoman can one-shot the Seal with Thunder, especially because it's holding the choice specs. Then, Price always sends in Piloswine. Nani finally learned Flamethrower and I use it to take Piloswine down in 1 hit. I send in Pogoman against his last Pokemon Dugong and Thunder hits. I finally did it. I beat Price. Oh, no, why? Pogoman's Thunder is not able to one-shot the Dugong yet. I do a few more attempts to make sure the AI doesn't go for some status move like Encore on Dugong, but eventually I realize that I need to level up to make Thunder a 1-hit KO against Dugong. I do a few more battles so that Pogoman gets to level 29. I go back and start the battle the same way. Thunder to one-shot the Seal, and then I send in Nani to flamethrow the Piloswine. Then, the last Pokemon comes out. I send in our newly leveled up Pogoman and I go for Thunder. It hits, and it finally takes out Dugong. After all those hours of grinding and heartache, I finally beat Price, and we obtain the Glacier Badge and the TM for Hail. After beating Price, we can't go straight to the 8th gym later because we have a quick problem to take care of. Professor Elm calls us to let us know that Team Rocket has taken over a building in Goldenrod City, so we have to go take care of them. Most of the grunts in the building are skippable, so I don't have too many fights to talk about except for the executives. Just like in Mahogany, we have to fight the executives in Goldenrod. First is Executive Petrol. He has 6 Pokemon now, but they are all much lower level than Nani, so they pose no threat. Petrol gives us the key to the basement floor, and we encounter our rival entering the basement. No Game has gotten 5 Pokemon and evolved some of his previous ones before this fight. However, this fight is still not difficult compared to the second fight. Nani can sweep through every Pokemon except for the Feraligatr, which Pogoman can take care of with Thunder now. With No Game defeated, we continue on our mission of stopping Team Rocket. We do this quick puzzle made for 6-year-olds and fight some grunts as we run into the director of the radio tower who has been taken hostage. The director gives us the key which we can use to face the other Rocket executives left. Next up is Executive Proton. He only has 2 Pokemon, Golbat and Weezing. Both can be taken care of with Flamethrower and we move on to the next fight. Executive Ariana, whom we fought in the hideout with Lance, is quite the pushover despite her big talk. Flamethrower easily takes out all of her Pokemon. At this point, it looks like the game has gotten quite easy because of our overleveled starter, but this is the last easy part of the run. Also, since Nani just leveled up, I want to mention that the new level cap going on to the 8th gym is going to be level 50. Our next executive fight is Executive Archer, and he definitely deserves his title unlike the others. He has a Houndour, Coughing, and Houndoom. The problem with this fight lies in the Houndoom. Despite its poor base speed stat, because of Pogoman's minus speed nature and it being a lower level, Houndoom will always outspeed Pogoman. I make about 10 attempts trying to see if Nani can defeat Houndoom along with Pogoman, but I am still unable to win, so I go level up Pogoman. Once I come back, Pogoman is level 34 and I should definitely outspeed Houndoom. Or not. Well, at this point, I don't want to level up, so I'll just equip the Quick Claw and keep resetting until I win. Luckily, not too long after, I get this run where Quick Claw activates against the Houndour, Then Houndoom comes out and Quick Claw activates again, twice in a row, pretty lucky. And I decide not to take any chances against his last Pokemon, so I switch Nani into Flamethrower, the Coughing. As the leading member at this point, Archer agrees to disband Team Rocket and leave Johto. As thanks, the director gives us a feather and tells us to go find some legendary giant chicken. We can't quite find Mr. Chicken yet, so I instead head for the 8th gym. On the way, we pass through this path made of ice, which just so happens to contain ice types, which might help us in the future. In this icy path, we can catch our last permanent team member, Swinub, whom I named Tusk V after the most famous pig in the world. Okay, second most famous. Okay, third most famous. Okay, fine, whatever. He's not that famous and he's not really a pig, but he does have the greatest chant of all time. Ah, what a glorious sound. With Tusk V added to the team, we will continue on our journey and reach Blackthorne City. Here lies the 8th gym and the final roadblock before the Elite Four. After making it to Blackthorne, I almost immediately head to the gym to see how difficult the trainers and the leader are going to be. Luckily for me, against the gym trainers, I have basically no problems. The only Pokemon in this gym are Dratini, Dragonair, Horsea, and Seadra. Dratini and Dragonair will go down to a Choice Specs Flamethrower or Fire Blast from Nani, and Horsea and Seadra will go down to a Thunder from Pogoman. Now, we will finally get to face off against the final gym leader, Claire. If you hadn't figured it out already, this gym is all about Dragon types. This is not great for us because Dragon types are resistant to Water, Electric, and Fire, the 3 most powerful types of moves we have on our team. Aside from Pogoman and Nani, our team is severely underleveled. However, we did pick up a Pokemon who is super effective against Dragon types, Tusk V. With Pogoman being so weak and slow, we don't stand a chance against Claire, so I decided to do a giant training session with Pogoman and Tusk V. Enjoy this training montage. Finally, after many hours of training, Pogoman has reached level 40 and Tusk V evolved into a Piloswine. I also went and got a heart scale, so I talked to the man in Blackthorne City to reteach Tusk V Ancient Power. After learning Ancient Power, I can give Tusk V a rare candy and evolve him into a Mamoswine. At level 35, Tusk V plus our level 40 Pogoman are finally ready to take on Claire. I take a quick break during my training to pick up the TM for Blizzard from the floor 5 merchant. Even with Mamoswine and a Starmie, we still rely on a lot of luck here. First, we need to hit Thunder. It has a 30% chance to miss, but now we outspeed Gyarados, and as long as Thunder hits, we move on to the Dragonair. With Tusk V and his Ice Shard, we can one-shot the Dragonair and move on to Claire's ace, Kingdra. This Kingdra is a huge problem because it is neutral to Thunder and Ice Shard, the two moves we used previously. Kingdra is the reason we picked up Blizzard from the merchant. Pogoman outspeeds Kingdra, and we are hoping for a critical hit, a freeze, or just to hit 2 Blizzards in a row. With Citrus Berry, Kingdra won't quite die to 2 Blizzards, but we have twice the chance to freeze or crit Kingdra because it normally goes for Smokescreen turn 1. After still losing quite a bit, I take a break and go and level up Tusk V even more. I get Tusk V all the way up to level 40 so that he learns Earthquake, and luckily this is the last bit of grinding I will have to do for the entire run. Now back to Claire with a level 40 Pogoman and level 40 Tusk V. Our strategy is still the same. Our goal is to hit Thunder, let Tusk V one-shot the Dragonair with Ice Shard, and then send in Pogoman to freeze or crit the Kingdra. This fight took a lot of resets. If you haven't been paying attention to the counter, we have gained 30 resets just from Claire. But eventually, every Great Wall will topple. This fight starts, we land Thunder on Gyarados. Dragonair comes in, and Ice Shard easily takes care of it in one hit. Then the Kingdra comes in. Pogoman switches and lands the first Blizzard. Kingdra goes for Smokescreen turn 1. Our accuracy on Blizzard is 75% now. I choose Blizzard again, and it lands, and it's a critical hit. Finally, I had beaten Claire and taken down the Kingdra. Her only other Pokemon is Dragonair. I send in Tusk V, and he one-shots the Dragonair with Ice Shard, and we finally did it. We beat Claire. After beating Claire, she refuses to give us the gym badge or TM because she claims we cheated by using an Ice type. We go back to the Dragon's Den where all these old men are hoarding the world's Dratini to themselves, and we speak with Claire's grandpa, and he asks us a series of questions about our ideology as a trainer. After a quick Google search about what boomers like, we give him the correct answers, and he tells us we are worthy to wield the Infinity Stones. Wait. Sorry, wrong movie. I mean, face the Elite Four. Claire apologizes and finally awards us with the Dragon Badge and the TM for Dragon Claw. Before we head towards the Elite, I also pick up this gift Dratini from the old man because it has extreme speed and our current Dratini from the Game Corner does not. However, before going to the Elite Four, we have to do the legendary storyline and catch Ho-Oh. But before we can do that, we have to fight the Kimono Girls, which we encountered along our journey. So now we have the fights against the Kimono Girls. This is pretty standard fight. Each of them only has one of the evolutions except for Glaceon and Leafeon. Just Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Espeon, and Umbreon. Upon first glance, this seems to be very easy. First off, only Jolteon outspeeds Nani, and I have a plan for Jolteon. And all of the other evolutions, even Vaporeon, should be no problem. I can just use Pogoman against Vaporeon and Flareon. Well, except I can't do that. Someone at Game Freak thought it would be really cool if you had to fight all 5 Kimono Girls back to back without a chance to heal, save, or switch. That leaves a huge problem for us because we can only choose one Pokemon to take out all 5, and even Pogoman doesn't cover all 5 with Thunder, Blizzard, and Surf. I decide to use Nani because with choice specs it should be able to handle 3 of the 5 pretty easily, and it is the highest level Pokemon I have. Unfortunately, at this point even Umbreon, the first evolution, poses a threat because it has such high HP and special defense that even with choice specs I cannot one-shot it with Fire Blast. So I go visit my favorite merchant on floor 5 and get the TM for Focus Blast. Other than Solar Beam and Hyper Beam, this is one of the only special attacking moves that Nani can learn, and it just so happens to be super effective against Umbreon, and is neutral against Flareon and Vaporeon. Now I have a fairly good strategy against all 5 trainers. Umbreon is first, and as long as Focus Blast hits, I can move on to the Espeon. Espeon is a clean OHKO with Choice Specs Flamethrower, and is the most consistent of all the trainers to beat. Next is Flareon. which at the moment is about a 50% chance to faint to Focus Blast due to random variations in the amount of damage moves do in Pokemon. Also, I forgot to mention that the two slowest evolutions, Flareon and Vaporeon, have Quick Attack. So it is possible for either of these two to just ruin the fights and have to reset back to Umbreon. Jolteon, if we even get that far, is also very easy because of its lackluster move pool. It has 2 electric moves, Last Resort and Double Team. So we can switch into Tusk V, who is immune to the electric moves and can one-shot Jolteon with Earthquake. Then the final Pokemon is Vaporeon. Vaporeon is actually the hardest of the Kimono Girls fights, and spoiler alert, the reason I decided to use save states in this fight. Vaporeon only has attacking moves with 100% accuracy, so it's impossible to switch in Pogo Man, and Vaporeon has incredibly high HP and pretty good special defense, meaning we cannot OHKO it with Focus Blast from Nani. Focus Blast does a good amount, around 80%, however, if it does not crit, we are guaranteed to lose because Vaporeon can't miss or use any status moves. And let's not forget that Vaporeon has the option to not even give us a chance to attack by using Quick Attack on turn 1. All of this luck and chance makes for a very bad fight overall. If I could switch in between battles, it would have been much easier. I looked for every TM Pogoman and Nani could learn that I had access to at this point in the game, and I basically had no good choices. There were some moves like Smokescreen or Secret Power which give me a chance, but they're even more luck reliant than me hoping for a crit against the Vaporeon. So I stuck with my current plan. With my explanation of the 5 fights out of the way, I guess I can get into the part where I use save states. I know in Pokemon Challenge runs save states are seen as a cardinal sin, but in a fight like this where I am unable to save and the only win condition I have is to either hit a 30% paralysis chance with Secret Power and then hope for 2 to 3 turns of full paralysis, or to hope for a 6% chance to crit with an 85% accurate move, especially when the other 4 trainers were pretty consistent, as long as my moves hit. This was really soul-sucking. I made attempts against the Kimono Girls for over 3 hours before deciding to use save states, so I hope you guys understand. I am fine with difficult battles and needing a bit of luck to win, but other than finding a new Pokemon or leveling up Dratini to a Dragonite, my only option was to hope for a crit against the Vaporeon. Now, before we get into the final fight, I want to acknowledge that Nani is 2 levels higher than the previous clips, only because Focus Blast was not a guaranteed OHKO against the Flareon, but at level 48 it is guaranteed 100% of the time. That was a very long explanation, but I believe it was necessary because I really wanted to show how much the odds were stacked against me and why I ultimately decided to use save states at this point. But without further ado, here's the winning run against the 5 Kimono Girls. The first 4 fights go very well. Against the Umbreon, Nani comes in and lands Focus Blast, making for a clean 1-hit KO. Next is Nauko from Ilex Forest. She has the Espeon, which is actually the most consistent Pokemon to face. It faints in just 1 flamethrower from Nani. I create a save state before entering the battle with Miki, who owns the Flareon, although this does not matter for 2 reasons. Firstly, Focus Blast hits, but also the way RNG is determined in this game is a little strange, and I'll talk about this later. Next is Sayo, who has the Jolteon. All we have to do is switch to Tusk V and land 1 Earthquake to beat her. Finally, I create a save state just before fighting Kuni, who has the Vaporeon. I go for Focus Blast, but it misses, so I go back to the save state. Then I try Focus Blast again, and it misses again. The 3rd time it hits, but still no crit, so I continue to reset. I try a few times to get the paralysis with Secret Power, but eventually I give up on that and just go back to spamming Focus Blast. Eventually, Focus Blast does hit and crit the Vaporeon, allowing us to move on from the Kimono Girls. I would also like to mention that the level cap from this point on is going to be level 55. This will apply to the whole Elite Four and Champion, but trust me, we are not getting anywhere close to that. After beating the Kimono Girls, we can capture the box legendary Ho-Oh. Before this run, that is not very meaningful, so I'll just show me actually capturing it and move on. We can now finally make our way to the Elite Four, and the only thing standing in our way is Victory Road. Normally, Victory Road is the last really tough part of any Pokemon game before you go and fight the Elite Four. However, in this game it is completely empty. I make my way through all of Victory Road until we encounter No Game at the end. He explains to us how he already beat all of the trainers in Victory Road and they left. He decides to challenge us to one more battle. We accept and start our final rival battle. Unfortunately for No Game, our starter is really overleveled still, and that spells trouble for most of his team who are weak to Flamethrower, unfortunately. And when he sends Feraligatr out, all I have to do is switch into Pogoman and use Thunder. Thunder is a one-hit KO, and I will choose to bring Nani back in against the rest of his team. The Haunter goes down in one Flamethrower, the Kadabra follows suit, Golbat becomes charred, and his last Pokemon Magneton comes out. With just one more Flamethrower, we defeat No Game for the final time. With that out of the way, we can head into Indigo Plateau and face the Elite Four. When facing the Elite Four, I am allowed to save after a battle. However, if I choose to do so, I will be unable to leave the Elite Four without resetting the entire game back to 0. This is because if I lose to the Elite Four members, then they must knock out my Pokemon, and since I can't take damage, that is impossible. I save right before entering the Elite Four, and I'm ready to face them for my chance at the champion. Our first fight is against Will, the Psychic type user. He starts with the Xatu at level 40. Luckily, we can KO it with just one Flamethrower. Next, he sends in Slowbro. For Slowbro, I send in Pogoman to use Thunder. I miss twice in a row, but on the third attempt I hit and take out the Slowbro. Next is his ace Xatu, so we will send in Nani to take care of it. With one Flamethrower, Xatu is knocked out, and Will send in his next two Pokemon. Unfortunately, they are both weak to fire, and we can skip past them because they're both one-shots. Next up is Koga, the Poison type Elite Four member who has some pretty good Pokemon. I cannot defeat his Muck or Crobat in one hit, so I decide to reset back to my save and level up Nani to level 50 and Pogoman to level 45. At this point, I believe I am capable of beating the rest of the Elite Four and Champion, so I decide to save in Koga's room. The Ariados definitely goes down to one Fire Blast, as well as the Fortress if it wasn't for Protect. However, the second Fire Blast hits and Fortress goes down. Next is Muck, who is arranged to die to Fire Blast, but luckily this time, Fire Blast takes Muck out in one hit. Next, Crobat comes in, and it knows Quick Attack, but this time it goes for Double Team, and Fire Blast will be able to take it out. Last is his Venomoth. I only have one more Fire Blast left. This time it hits and defeats Koga. Next is Bruno. I also decide to save in his room before the battle since I'm already locked into the Elite Four. Bruno is the Fighting type Elite Four member and is fairly easy for our team. First from Bruno is Hitmontop. With Choice Specs Fire Blast, Hitmontop faints in one hit, and we decide to switch to Pogoman since Onix is next. Pogoman easily takes out Onix with one Surf. Next is Hitmonchan, so we decide to switch out to Nani, whose Flamethrower will make easy work of it. Machamp, Bruno's ace, comes out next, and luckily one Choice Specs Flamethrower takes him out. Finally, Bruno's last Pokemon is Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee is pretty bad defensively and goes down to one last Flamethrower. Now we have defeated 3 out of the 4 members and we can move on to the last and hardest member, Karen. Karen is the Dark type Elite Four member and she leads with an Umbreon, our old nemesis. Luckily, this one likes to go for Double Team and 2 Flamethrowers make quick work of it. Karen sends out Gengar next, and one Fire Blast will KO the Gengar. Houndoom will be sent in after, but with Focus Blast we can actually take out the Houndoom in one hit. As you can see, I am actually running Charcoal in this fight so that I am able to switch moves. And my Charcoal boosted Flamethrower is enough to destroy the Murkrow. Karen's final Pokemon Vileplume comes out and it stands no chance against our Flamethrower. After defeating Karen, there are no more Elite Four members left. Now we only have to worry about the champion, one of the most difficult trainers in all of Johto, Lance. Lance is the Dragon type master, yet chooses to only use 3 Dragon types on his team. I have made it to Lance once before this, but this time I save in Karen's room and prepare to fight him. There's an interesting fact I discovered by accident here, and it has to do with how moves missing or hitting is determined in this game. I have 2 examples of this that occur quite often. First is Thunder. Since saving in Karen's room, every time I start the battle with Lance, Thunder hits. Thunder is only 70% accurate and definitely should not hit every time, but by pure chance it is possible that I hit 4 Thunders in a row. But then we take Dragonite's Dragon Rush, which also, despite having 75% accuracy, never misses the entire time against Mamoswine. Out of the 4 attempts I did that I promise are not the same clip, Thunder always hits and Dragon Rush always hits. I'm talking about RNG in this fight, and because I quickly realized that the RNG seems to already be set for a lot of these moves, this is the second battle where I decide to use the save state. As you can see, the moves hitting or missing seem set in stone at this point despite me being able to reset. If I lead Starmie Thunder, it will always hit Gyarados. Then if I switch to Mamoswine, Ice Shard will not kill, won't crit, and Dragonite's Dragon Rush will hit. However, let's say I keep Starmie in instead of switching. Well, then I have changed the branching paths. So, as far as I understand with my little bit of testing with Lance, depending on what Pokemon gets sent in determines if the move will hit or not. Resetting does not change this. I tried many times. I've even tried waiting different amounts of times on the home screen before starting. I tried running around in Karen's room before facing Lance. Nothing I seem to do will change if these moves hit or miss. It works like a branching path as far as I understand. So it works like a branching path where we start with one line, and this is me sending in Pogoman, let's say, against Gyarados. Then I can choose to use any of Pogoman's 4 moves, which will create these 4 different branches. After I do this, I can see what each one does. Let's say Confuse Ray hits and Gyarados hits itself in confusion. That would cause this path. I could say Thunder hits and causes this next path. Let's say Blizzard misses, so that's like a fail, where it stops there. And of course Surf isn't going to kill, so that would be a fail. So now I could go from the Confuse Ray branch, where I can continue to see if it hits itself in confusion again, or if I'm able to go for a Blizzard and maybe this time it hits, or Thunder hits, so it kind of branches off 4 more times, because I can choose 4 more moves. Or I could even choose to switch, and switching affects if a move hits or not. And switching affects whether a move hits. But normally with Pogoman I just go with this Thunder route, so we'll just close these off. After using Thunder, Dragonite comes in. And Dragonite always hits Dragon Rush against Mamoswine. And since Mamoswine doesn't kill with Ice Shard anyway, I stop using Mamoswine against that first Dragonite. I instead keep Pogoman in and go for Blizzard. Now, Blizzard always hits the second time. The first time I use Blizzard, so let's say it's this one, Blizzard always misses. So now my only options are Thunder, which has a chance for paralysis, but that also does not activate. Surf doesn't kill, and Confuse Ray. From that point on, I go for Confuse Ray because it makes Dragonite hit itself in confusion every time. So as you can see, all of this is kind of set in stone, but it also loops back around. After Dragonite is defeated, Lance likes to send in Aerodactyl, and Aerodactyl is the problem. So let's say I finish the Confuse Ray. So once Confuse Ray activates and Dragonite hits itself in confusion, I then go for Blizzard. Blizzard kills, and then I go back down to the one branch. From this one branch, Aerodactyl comes in, and my Surf is not able to kill it because I don't outspeed. Quick Claw, even though later in the fight I give it to Pogoman, Quick Claw does not activate on the first turn against Aerodactyl, so I decide to switch. I switch to Mamoswine, which kind of creates a whole nother path that has 4 branches. And from there, I use Ice Shard on Mamoswine because it always crits. So with the whole branches part kind of explained, I would like to go back to just the reason I'm using save states. Since these paths always seem to follow the same linear progression, I decide to just use save states because me making a save state at one point does not change whether a move crits, misses, hits. It just allows me to save time by choosing a different branch on that path. So with that whole weird RNG thing kind of explained as best I can, let's get to the actual Lance fight. There are 2 things I've changed throughout me resetting. The first is Pogoman needs to be holding the Quick Claw instead of the Choice Specs. Second is Pogoman needs to be 1 level higher, and luckily I actually have 1 rare candy left, which I picked up in Victory Road and saved just in case I got soft locked somewhere. With our level 46 Pogoman, we are ready to beat the champion once and for all. Of course, like always, Lance leads with Gyarados and I lead with Pogoman. I go for Thunder and it hits, and Quick Claw always activates now since I switched from Choice Specs. I save state here and keep Pogoman in for Dragonite. I reset because Blizzard misses and I go for Confuse Ray. Dragonite hits itself in confusion, and the next turn Blizzard hits and takes it out. The next level 49 Dragonite comes out and it gets 1-hit KO'd by Blizzard. Next Aerodactyl comes in. We are hoping for the Quick Claw to activate here because Aerodactyl is faster than me. Unfortunately it does not, and I switch into Tusk V after resetting. Tusk V goes for Ice Shard and it crits. This takes out Aerodactyl. Next is Charizard, who does not die from a Surf from Pogoman. So instead I go for Confuse Ray hoping it hits itself. After that I go for Surf and it still barely doesn't kill, and Charizard gets through the confusion and hits me, so I reset to my save state. I will speed this next part up a bit, but I try every single move I have. I even try switching to my other 5 Pokemon to see if Air Slash misses, but nothing works, until I decide to use Confuse Ray again. Although it fails since Charizard is already confused, it creates another one of these branching paths and causes Charizard to hit itself in confusion, unlike every other move or switch I tried to do. That was the only move I used that for some reason caused Charizard to hit itself in confusion 2 times in a row, and with that extra damage, we will now knock it out. Now, onto Lance's last Pokemon, his 3rd and highest level Dragonite. This is his ace at level 50. I go for Blizzard and it hits. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite take out Dragonite, so I have to reset to my save state, and this time I go for Confuse Ray. The Dragonite hits itself in confusion, and that little bit of damage is enough for Blizzard to kill, but it misses. Luckily, Dragonite goes for Safeguard this time, and once I go for Blizzard on the next turn, it hits and kills Lance's last Dragonite. With that, we have defeated the champion Lance without taking damage, and have completed Pokemon Heartgold without getting hit or taking damage. For now. Professor Oak comes to congratulate us, but we decide to hurry up and put our Pokemon in the Hall of Fame and save the game so it doesn't crash. First, we have the absolute MVP of this run, Pogoman. I honestly didn't expect him to do this good, and he really surprised me at the end. I am extremely glad that I picked him up in the harbor. Next is Nani, our starter. He definitely carried us through most of the run, but there were times that he struggled a lot, and the other Pokemon really shone. Then we have Queso. Unfortunately, I didn't get to use Queso much, although I really wish I had. He would have made some fights much easier. And then Tusk V. Tusk V came in clutch, especially in this last battle, and I was really glad I picked him up. He definitely became a great addition to the team. Dragonair, who I unfortunately forgot to nickname, we will see more of him later. And finally, Jeffrey the Togetic, who will be getting some love soon as well. With that, the first half of the game is done. And that's right, if you've never played these games before, there are actually two regions, Johto and Kanto. So, after completing the game, there are 8 more gym badges we need to collect. We have to fight all of the Elite Four and Champion over again, but they will be stronger the second time, and there's a secret extra challenge at the end I will be completing. With all that said, I want to thank everyone who watched my video. It took me a really long time to make, and it really brought back my passion for editing. I've not even started on the Kanto part of this run yet, but I will soon, and I will be making a separate video about that, so stay tuned. If you want to be informed when that video comes out, you can subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, if you have any questions about the run, feel free to comment. I will read and respond to every comment. So, thanks again for listening to me rant about a 12-year-old Pokemon game, and I hope you'll have a wonderful day. Until next time, I'm ConversionCP, and I'll catch you later.